All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive into the upcoming Trials changes that Bungie has announced. And basically what I want to do with this video is I want to point out a few things that are really alarming to me as someone that has played tens of thousands of Trials matches from the very start of Trials, from the very first week it was out in Destiny 1, all the way to now. Never skipped a weekend. I've played so many games. There's some things about this that are really alarming. So let me pull this up and let's have a conversation together about this upcoming changes. Here we go. So the first thing they talk about here is in Trials, this is what they're going to do. These are the bullet points that they cover. The first one is improve the overall health of the Trials matchmaking pool. Amazing that they want to do that. Now, what is the exact thing that they're going to do with that? By both incentivizing a wider audience to engage and better defining separation of skill tiers. Now, that's a little bit of a weird language there, okay? Separation of skill tiers sounds to me like potentially skill-based matchmaking for Trials. Now, if you don't know this, Bungie recently removed all of skill-based matchmaking from all the playlists except for comp and elimination. So if you go in and jump into them, it's a really tough match like all the time because they're trying to match people of your skill. So it's going to always be a tough game. Now, they might put Trials on the same thing right here. And I think that this might be a potentially terrible idea for one glaring reason alone, and that is recovs inside Destiny 2. Recovs have been a thing that have been happening since Destiny 1, and recovs are still a very much ongoing thing inside Destiny 2 Trials right now. Basically, what a recov is someone pays another person who's a really good player to play on their account and get them flawless in Trials. Now, why would this be so extremely bad for skill-based matchmaking? Because the player that's paying the good player to play on their account is usually not a very good player. That's why they're paying someone to go flawless on their account. But when the good player logs into the bad player's account, the game doesn't know that. And so instead of getting hard-based matchmaking like Trials is right now, they're going to be taking wolves in sheep's clothing and throwing them in with the actual sheep. Skill-based matchmaking in the current situation of Trials would be absolutely disastrous. But it looks like that's the route that Bungie's going, and we'll see if they actually address any issues at all with recoveries. I don't think that there's any possible way that Bungie can stop account recoveries. And just as a side note, I'm not hating on anyone that does account recoveries. If you do them, I got nothing against you, but I do sincerely think that recoveries kind of make the Trials playlist a lot more of a miserable experience. And technically it is against terms of service, but I digress. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below, and now I'm going to move on to the second section. Rebuild the Trials reward structure so that it encourages more players to stick to their active cards longer. Our current structure encourages a lot of recycling cards after a single loss, meaning the first games of your Trials card has a high chance of being incredibly challenging. We want to build a reward structure that continually pushes higher skill players to want to progress deeper in their card even after a loss, making 3 to 5 wins a more achievable goal for more players. This is really smart from Bungie, and this is something that I actually really didn't think about, is that I myself personally and my team, when we're running stacked on Friday mornings when Trials first comes out, if we get a loss within the first 3 wins of the card, we just wipe the card. But that essentially puts us, a stacked team, right at the beginning of the Trials queue again. So I think it's really smart of Bungie to actually work on this, and I think that the second bulletin point that they have here is actually a good one, and I'm very happy with this one. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree, and now let's move on to the third point. Investigate opportunities for solo players to participate in Trials regularly. We believe this will not only make the matchmaking pools healthier, but will also encourage more players to see what Trials is all about and hopefully form social connections with other PvP-loving Guardians. Now, this in concept sounds great, and I actually kind of like the idea of a solo queue Trials separate playlist, similar to the solo queue Iron Banner playlist we have now. Personally, I love the solo queue Iron Banner playlist. I think it's a great thing. But the reason why the Iron Banner solo queue playlist is so great is because if you lose, you're still rewarded with 2 tokens. So even if you get some of the worst blueberries on your team, you still get something out of it by finishing that match. And if you happen to get some good blueberries on your team and play really well and you win, you get 5 tokens. And yeah, sure, it can be frustrating because there is lobby balancing, and so you're not going to win a lot of games consecutively in solo queue Iron Banner, or at least unless the RNG gods bless you. But overall, statistically speaking, they're trying to do lobby balancing when you solo queue into Iron Banner. So roughly, if you were to play 100 games, you should win about 50% and lose about 50%, which is my exact point why I think this might be actually really disastrous for Trials. While I do think it's nice to get people's foot in the door and get them playing Trials with a solo queue playlist, this playlist would compound the frustrations of Trials tenfold. Because imagine how hard it would be to actually win with completely random blueberries 7 games in a row. No one's going flawless in this playlist. Like, this is going to be like next to impossible to go flawless in this playlist, especially with lobby balancing. If when the game launches there's 4 insanely good players and 2 below average players, they take 2 of the good players on one side and 2 of the players on the other side, and they split up the less skilled players and put them on either side. That's lobby balancing. And that might sound perfectly even and fair and great and all, but sometimes it's completely lopsided, which would make it really difficult to get on a win streak. Like if you've ever played solo queue Iron Banner, imagine having to get 7 wins in a row. That would be really, really tough because there's always that one blueberry that gets like 2 kills and 25 deaths. And you're like, what are you doing? Why are you throwing the game so hard? Why do you want to lose? There's always that one person. And if that one person is on the enemy team one game and you win, you celebrate, but then the next game, they're going to be on your fire team due to lobby balancing. And then you're going to guaranteed lose because they are for sure going to throw the game. And that's going to be mad frustrating. Not to mention with a solo queue playlist and with lobby balancing, account recoveries will again be put against lopsided games. So when you look up their stats and it shows they're a 0.4 KD and have never gotten flawless, but in actuality, they're a 3.0 KD top 10 player in the world, you're going to get absolutely ran out of the solo queue playlist and it's going to be very frustrating. Not to mention cheaters. Now let's talk about cheaters with all of these playlist changes. Cheaters are often on new free-to-play accounts, so they're going to be placed in the lowest skill bracket, meaning that the cheaters are going to be paired up against the below-average players in trials, in both the skill-based matchmaking version and in the solo queue version. Until, of course, their stats rise up because they have 100% sniper accuracy. Then they'll be thrown in with the better players. And cheaters will absolutely riddle and flood into this solo queue playlist because that's all they need. The one issue for cheaters right now in the game is that it's hard for them to put together a fire team. They find random people on LFGs. I've asked so many people that are playing with cheaters how they found them, and time again they say LFG. And so now if the cheaters don't have to waste their time going on LFG and finding 2 people to carry through the game with their cheats, they're just going to solo queue into trials straight up with cheats on. So the point I'm trying to make with all this video is that I have very cautious optimism with this new system. And you might think to yourself, well, what would you do, Lucky? How would you fix this solution? And honestly, and you let me know in the comments below if you agree, I really think that the best way to do this is to take the power away from the cheaters and from the people using exploits in the game. I think that the bar needs to be lowered from Lighthouse. Think about it like this. Right now, if you were to do an Iron Banner match and play against a cheater, would it really mess with you that much? You would lose 1 game, you get 2 tokens instead of 5, you still beat your bounties, you leave that match and you queue up against a different team. It only messed with you for a short period of time, right? But in Trials, when you've invested an hour into a card and you match a cheater, you just wasted an hour's worth of time. So that's the real key that I think Bungie should focus on, is not making Trials cards last an hour, because when they last an hour and you play a cheater or you play account recoveries or whatever it may be, that's the point of frustration when you're like, wow, I can't believe I just spent a full hour in this playlist and got next to nothing out of it. If Bungie were to lower the bar of the Lighthouse, say for example, loot drops are at 2 wins, 4 wins, and 6 wins, and 6 wins with Mercy equals Lighthouse, they bring all the wins down by 1. This would reduce the time it takes for people to go flawless, and it would reduce all the other frustrations, because now if your card did get ruined, it didn't cost you as much of a time investment, so you might have enough time to try again. I genuinely believe that's the only way that Bungie could actually effectively make Trials a much better playlist. And I know a lot of people might be frustrated, like, wow, but Lucky, you really want to make Trials more casual? And that's definitely not what I want to do. I do not want to make Trials more casual. What I want is for there to be a proper anti-cheat in the game. And I want there to be a healthy player base and a ton of loot incentivized, so that way everyone's playing Trials on the weekends. But apparently that just can't happen. And if we can't have a really strong, healthy anti-cheat, if we can't put an end to tons of account recoveries happening every weekend, making the playlist just sweaty and unbearable, then I think we just need to lower the bar a little bit. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about all of this? What do you think about the upcoming changes that Bungie is making to Trials? And what do you think about my idea of lowering the bar in Trials? I'll be reading all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on if you did enjoy this video. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Later.